Hello, hello, Strong Girls Nation. Our Chalk Talk today is on confidence, and my guest is Paige Tonz, a former Northwestern softball player, current mental game mentor for girls in sports. This is for parents and coaches and for youth or adolescents or college players alike. What I love about this chat is you will gain some real tangible actions that can be taken and practices you can implement to help you with your confidence. There will be a free downloadable ebook, as with our other Chalk Talks, that you can access from our website, sgunitedfoundation.org, with the activities that we talk about as well, so you can keep an eye on that. And without further ado, let's do this. What's up, Strong Girls Nation? I am here today with Paige Tonz, a former softball player from Northwestern University, and Paige currently also works with female athletes. So it was kind of hard for us to pick just one topic or theme for today because we do a lot of similar work. But we landed on confidence, largely because we both agreed that it's what athletes and students and really people in general are really wanting to get and feel and think, and we're going to talk a lot about that. But first, before we get to that, let's, Paige, why don't you just introduce yourself and share your story sort of growing up through sport?
Yeah. My name's Paige, like Lani said, and so I was an athlete, much like all of you girls that are watching, or even parents. Maybe you guys had some athlete experience as well, but you're definitely like the sports moms and dads, so you know what this life is like. We're going from practice to practice, game to game. I remember like changing in the car from like one uniform to another. It's just like craziness. But so my experience and my childhood was very sports related. I grew up as an athlete. I played a lot of different sports. I played basketball, volleyball. I did swim. I did gymnastics for like a year. I was just working with a gymnastics team, and I was telling them, you guys are way beyond my skill level. I didn't even get to a back handspring. So, but gymnastics. And then my passion was softball. That was like my main gig, my main thing. And I played softball, travel and club softball through all the way up until I was 18. And then I earned a scholarship to go play at Northwestern. But something that kind of followed me throughout being an athlete was this and I don't even know if it was really a lack of confidence, because I felt pretty confident, but like deep down inside, I never felt like I was good enough, or I had a lot of self-doubt and a lot of fear. I was afraid to fail. But I think all of that translates into confidence at the end of the day. Like at first, like most of the time it's like, yeah, I'm confident. Like I worked on my skills, but like when I stepped into the box, when it was like go time, there was a lot of self-doubt that creeped in that just hindered and kind of depleted that confidence that I really wanted. So, going through and, the recruiting process and having college coaches come out and watch, everything just continued to escalate as I got older. And I know a lot of the girls will be trying out for their junior high teams or for high school. And then, even to the next level at college in that recruiting process. And it just feels like a lot of pressure at times. So that was a really challenging, really frustrating time, because once I really felt that pressure, and really it wasn't anyone else, I was just putting the pressure on myself because I had such high expectations. My ultimate dream and goal was to go play college softball on a big stage at a big school, big competitive school. And I felt like if I didn't get the hits, if I wasn't that amazing softball player, then, and if I wouldn't get the scholarship, then who was I? So a lot of it had to do with my identity and like who I was a softball player, and I didn't know how to separate those two. So anytime that I failed or I came short, not even failing, just coming short maybe, or not getting the batting average that I wanted, that's where I really struggled, because I felt like I was not, that's where I felt like I wasn't good enough. And as athletes, we have to balance this very delicate balance of, being competitive and looking at your weaknesses and working on them, and being better, and working hard towards getting better or improving. But there's also this thing that we don't give ourselves enough credit. And that's look at all the things that I've done to get here. Look at all I've accomplished. Look how amazing I really am. And as athletes, that is way down here. And the self-critiquing and trying to improve is way up here. So we have to figure out a way to balance those a little bit better, which is something that I wish I would have known a lot earlier, and gave myself a little break every once in a while, and gave myself credit. Actually, one of the exercises that I love doing with my own girls is to write down everything that you've accomplished in the last year. Just brain dump it all. And you're when you look at that, you're wow, I did a lot of stuff. I have improved a lot here. And we just forget to do that piece. But going back to my story, I'm going on tangents now. But
it's all good.
And then, so I got into college, and things just got even more pressure, and it got harder, because I really wanted to be valuable to my team. I wanted to leave a legacy behind. I wanted to break records, these kinds of things. And that is not what I did my first 3 years. I actually started, I was a starting catcher my freshman year, which was pretty much unheard of in the program. I think I was the first female athlete to do that in the softball program. But of course, it wasn't enough for me in my own brain. And I wanted to also be a threat hitting for the team as well. And I was not that for the first 3 years. I struggled with my hitting, and it was all because of what I was thinking. It was all because of my confidence. I didn't deep down truly believe that I could be a really, really great hitter on the team, because I was so focused on my results and my outcomes, and my mind was thinking about the wrong things. I was thinking about those results and those outcomes instead of how hard I was working, and the energy I was putting in, and the things that I could control. So my senior year, I had a really big shift in mindset. I had a coach helping me with how I was thinking, what I was thinking about, just changing the way I thought about failure and my approach, and things drastically changed my last year. I actually ended up doubling my batting average. I had way more fun, because that was one thing I knew I was going to do that year. I was I am so tired of crying and being frustrated. Yep. And banging my head against the wall with this. It's done with that. I'm just going to go out and have fun and give it my very best. And it was magic. And so I doubled my batting average. I had more home runs than I did my first 3 years combined. And then I think I tripled the amount of at-bats I got. So I had a whole lot more playing time in the offensive lineup. So that is what the mindset can really do. And I was so upset, because man, I wish I would have known this earlier, because it was my senior year. I had 1 year to really shine, and I'm grateful for that, because I got to end on a really high note. But it just made me think, holy moly, I need to teach girls this stuff earlier, which is why we're here today, because I just love getting to teach the girls different mindset tools and mindset work, and training your brain to think differently, so that the girls can go way further than I ever did. So
that's awesome. And I think what you shared too is such a common story with student, if we take a look at just female student athletes, and I'm sure this is the same across across the board, but looking at our sort of population that we serve, that this nonprofit serves, the story of why our university student athletes get involved in wanting to coach our programs is because they wish they had this when they were younger, or they have it now and realize the difference that it makes in how much, and your point too about enjoying, like how do we, yes, we want high performance and you want to, succeed, whatever that means to you, but we also want it to be fun, and we don't want to strip out, we don't want to push to like get better at everything and set your goals and reach them, and that's all all you're chasing without enjoying the process, like you said, and having fun. So I think it's
having fun. It makes you do
things. It makes you right. The fun and the enjoyment like makes you perform better too.
Yeah, totally.
For athletes, like we always talk about, typical athlete mentality is being self-critical versus self-compassionate. So, the self-compassion sort of theme. And what you realize when you really dig in, even if you dig into the research, is how much better people perform when they can flip the mindset, and it's more enjoyable. So there's less burnout. You don't, leave your sport hating your sport. You leave it loving your sport, and you want to impact the next generation. It just changes a lot. It changes a lot of things. So one of the things that we were talking about earlier is how when we talk about confidence, we try to talk about how we want to teach young girls to think confidently. And, a lot of people think, and this is for even high school and college athletes that I'm working with, a lot of people want to wait and feel confident. You want to go to the batter's box just feeling confident. Like, of course, who wouldn't want to do that, right? And so, we are trying to help and teach how to think confidently, as opposed to kind of waiting for it to come to you and, something magical to happen. And it because it takes practice. It's with the mind, and we need to grab some tools to do this. And so self-talk, self-affirmations, those are all some tools that can help us learn to think confidently. We talked also about waiting to rather than teaching girls all of these tools that like they're external to them, it's important for them to know, like, this is all inside. This is all possible and inside everyone. It's just like, how do we get it out, in these
like
moments?
An onion. Gotta peel back the layers. Right?
That's right. And we want them to be able to access these resources in really hard moments, or scary moments, or frustrating, or when the self-doubt kicks in. So what are some activities, or when you are doing something like self-talk, like how are you helping girls with this? What are some activities that you ask them to implement in their daily practice?
Yeah. So the first thing that actually is coming to mind as we're talking about this is I've been thinking about this a lot, because in my own journey, from my junior to my senior year, when I made that shift, when I made the change, and I think back to that a lot, because I'm like, okay, what really like made me take a turn to become confident? And I think I really, really, truly believe that confidence comes from like deciding who you want to be and who you are, and accepting yourself. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but there's like knowing like you're okay with who you are, no matter what the results might be. And I think that was really the core of my new mindset my senior year was, like I said, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to give it my all, like I always have, but I'm going to give it my all. And I'm okay with whatever happens. Mm-hmm. And that was like the big shift. So something I've been been talking about a lot in my social media and with my girls is, and I'm launching a new program starting in May. And the first thing that we're going to be working on is just figuring out who we want to be. And it seems so simple, but it's like deciding and choosing, because that's an easy choice. And it's something that you can practice daily and the exercise really would be just literally writing down on your paper, like, who do I want to be? And another way you can share it is like, how do I want to show up? And I just think that deciding and writing it down and like confirming that with yourself is going to be the first step of gaining and creating or unveiling that confidence, like we were talking. Because if we know who we want to be and we're sure about our identity, aside from whatever sport, whatever grades you have, like just you, like authentically yourself, then if you keep showing up as that person, if you keep showing up, like for me, like if I keep showing up and I want to be someone that puts my family first, I want to be someone that raises the energy in every room. I want to be somebody that is passionate. I want to be someone that's hardworking. All these things, that doesn't have anything to do with my sport or my performance or my results. And if you keep showing up like that, then the results are going to come, the outcomes are going to come. And I really think that that's where like that core for confidence happens. So I would say that just kind of journaling and deciding like, who do you want to be aside, and put aside like any sports and school and stuff like that. So that's something I've been really thinking about, that I'm like, this is the very first step.
Yeah. So you're reminding me too, one of our first Chalk Talks was with Keegan Randall for around goal setting. So she won first gold medal for men or women in cross country skiing in 2018. And 4 years prior, she was, I believe, maybe a gold medal favorite. And now I'm going to have to look back at this video, but, our Chalk Talk. But I remember her saying she was going in as a favorite, and she made a promise to herself the morning or a day before the Olympics that she was going to leave it all on the course. And no matter what, if she did that, then no matter what the result, she would be happy. And she didn't end up, I think she missed it by hundredths of a second or something, and missed the podium. And she said after, while disappointed, she reminded herself, the promise I made to myself was that I would leave it all out there, and no matter what happened, I'd be happy. And so she was able to look back and say, I left it all out there, so I can be happy, right? Yeah. And so that is exactly what you said. That shows you like, how do you become? And then 4 years later, she won the gold medal, and it shows you, I think, like even the most elite athletes, right, are doing this work, right? This is how they're getting there. So that's an awesome first example. One of the things that we like to do also is with even with high school, I have stickers, that might say something, to have them put phrases or stickers or some self-talk phrase that you kind of have queued up, ready to go before you get into the batter's box, or before you get up on stage to perform, or before your math test, because I also teach and I have my students do that as well. So kind of creating something ahead of time, because in that moment, it's going to be too hard to access. You're in kind of fight or flight mode. It's a little too hard to access, resources of like, well, what did Paige or what did Lani tell me to do? In this moment. So we kind of queue up some stuff. What kind of things have you found for either yourself or the people you're working with? Do you have them put them in different places so that they can see it? What kind of stuff do you do there?
Yeah. So I teach a lot of self-talk, like you're talking about, like the affirmations, or people call them affirmations, mantras, I am statements. I am statements like the easiest one to teach because it makes sense. Like I am blankety blank. But it's funny. I actually just did a video about 5 easy ways to practice your self-talk, because it's really hard in the moment, right? When you're frustrated, it's hard to like muster up that positive self-talk when you're really mad or frustrated, or tears are in your eyes, right? So one of the ones that I love is, and I want to do, I have stickers with kind of like my program, but what I want to do is create some stickers that have some different affirmations on them so they can just stick, because the girls love putting stickers on their water bottles. I don't know my water bottle today, but you can write them on I have one right here. You can write them on a Post-it note or a note card or anything and just tape them to your water bottle, because when we're at practice or when we're in a game and we're in like frustrating moments, eventually you have to go get some water because you're working, you're sweating, whatever it is. And you go back to your water bottle and you're like, oh,
that's right.
I forgot. That is what I'm supposed to be telling myself. And it's just a reminder, even if it takes a little bit to sink in. It's always a great reminder, because I did my video. I have all these fun ways to do affirmations. So I have my bat. This is my college bat. I haven't used it a whole lot since, but I actually wrote down on here, I don't know if you can see it a little bit. It says, I can hit anything. So this is something that, like, when you are up to bat, like when you go through your routine, like you can see that. And it's always a great reminder for, your self-talk, even if you're feeling nervous or scared. It's like, oh, I can hit anything. And that little piece, and you keep doing it consistently, it's going to build up. And I always tell the girls, what you think and what you say is what you believe. Even if you don't believe it right now, like write down things that scare you or things that you're like, I don't know if that's really, or if I can really do that. Like write it down. Just do it so you can, because if you keep saying it over and over again, you're eventually going to believe it. So those are a couple of ways I've had, like, where you can put your note, like the first thing out the door, like your garage door or like your front door, see it every day, like the mirror in your bathroom. And then of course the good old fashioned, we're just writing it in a journal or a notebook every day. Those are all my favorite ways to practice and just see those constantly. Do all of them. Like the more that you see it, the better.
Yeah, I think it's an important, you just mentioned practice, right? It's an important thing for people to understand too. This isn't like we listened to this talk and then I did it today and now I'm good. I should expect to be good for, the rest of my life, right? It's like,
wish.
Yeah, it would be great, right? If we could do that. It's something to practice every day, all of this work, and find ways to insert it into routines that already exist, things that already exist. Like you just mentioned, you walk out the door, when you walk out the door, then you have something every time you walk out the door. So it's not like you're adding on minutes or hours onto your day in order to train your mind in this way or practice, or putting it on the bat. Like you're already going to pick up the bat for the game, or you're already going to pick up your water bottle.
Setting yourself up for success.
Totally. Yeah, that's great. So speaking of that, what are some other, setting yourself up for success? We've talked about sort of knowing yourself a little bit and giving yourself permission to, one of the phrases that I have used or I like to say is your worth isn't defined by your performance, right? And so you talked about knowing yourself, talked about, that some of the self-talk, self-affirmations, and setting up your environment essentially, in order to allow yourself to do some of this work. Any other sort of setting yourself up for success tips?
Yeah, I think that something I've had some conversations is like time management. I know it doesn't sound cool or exciting, but I actually teach the girls how to use a planner or agenda. I always tell them, like, my favorite day in school was the day that they handed out our planners for the year. I was like, yes. I'm like, I was such a nerd. Like, I loved getting my planner. And something that I love to teach the girls is, okay, so like how to look at, like, plan out your week ahead, because once it hits Monday, you don't want to be reacting. You want to be proactive, and you want to have a plan, a map drawn out. Basically, you're creating like a little GPS. I know, like, probably all the girls know how to GPS. Maybe they help their parents navigate. I don't know. Yeah. But it's like a navigation for your week. And if you have goals, there are certain things that you have to do daily, consistently, that are going to help you actually accomplish those goals. And writing those things down, because I know a lot of girls they're like, yeah, I use it for school. I'm like, okay, well, what about all the other things? What about, softball practice, and are you doing stuff on your own, and when are you fitting in the mental game work? So I actually have them to create this to-do list for their week, and then they fill in, and then they have a plan every single day. That's the simplest way I think I can describe it, but it's just creating a plan every single day so that when Monday hits, your alarm goes off, you're like, oh, I know exactly what I need to get done today. And like, it's okay if not all of it gets done, but at least it's there. And I always say, when you write it down, it's more likely to get done.
Yeah, that's true. There's that, and it's also a weight off of the mind to keep track of everything. You know?
Yeah, it's like, dump it out.
Yeah, I'm especially needing this right now when it's like, where are the links for this Zoom call, and what are we doing for this, and what are we doing, like what time do the girls are there on different schedules, and so it's every day. I mean, I have mine right here, like it's with me like all the time.
Yeah, I know. I
list.
have mine under another stack of books, but yeah, I have like, this is like my Bible.
That's right. No, it's so important. And even the some of the other work that I do is in our academic skill center for high school students, and it's the same thing. It is how do you learn to manage and plan your time? And when you're feeling overwhelmed, it's probably because every single thing you have to do, which probably is a lot, but it's all stored up here.
So
if you get it on
brain
paper,
is gonna burst.
That's right. Get it down so that you can walk around without carrying that weight with you. So I love that idea. So some of our strong girls start as young as 5 years old. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old girls. So I love how eager they are to sort of learn and practice and go back home and teach their parents, something they did. We'd like to do power posing with them, is just teaching them to, get your shoulders back, stand up.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm slouching.
And get in that, sort of position before you do something hard, or after. We always end all of our workouts with our favorite power pose, whatever that might be. It's, fun for the young kids too, but it also kind of just teaches them, like even my grandmother always taught me, right? I'm also 6'1". I was a basketball player, but it's like, you had to learn young, right? Like stand tall, like doesn't matter that you're a foot taller than other people. So anyway, do you have any other ideas for, when I think about confidence for that young age, I think we want these girls to walk around feeling like, I don't know.
Yeah.
They've got it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I got this, like whatever it is. And any ideas for that, like just teaching that really young group?
Something I've actually been working with my girls is all about body language. It's like your body language, I think there's this quote that says, body language doesn't talk, it screams. And I know we're supposed to like put the earmuffs on. We're not supposed to, care what other people's opinions are. But the one thing you want people to know is like, when you walk into a room, you want people to know that you're excited, you're raising the energy, you're happy, you're motivated, you want to be there, or you want to be a part of whatever you're doing. So what is your body language showing? Because a lot of times we're not talking, or what is your face showing, right? Like just being aware of what your body is saying.
Yeah.
I think that's just one simple piece to think, and just being aware, I think, is a really great first step in being like, oh, actually my face is saying something different than what I'm thinking. And if you're I always say, like, think about if you're listening to a friend, or your friend is telling you something and they're sharing, maybe they're frustrated and they're coming to you for help, or you guys are having a conversation. If you're like this, like, how does that going to make you feel if your friend is listening to you like that, instead of being like, being present, being like, you're, moving your hands, or like I always tell the girls, like, be an active listener. Like, are you nodding your head while they're talking? Are you making eye contact? Eye contact is like one of the biggest things to learn at a young age, because it's going to take you so far. Like, coaches are always wanting eye contact. And I always tell them, think about if you were the speaker, you're the teacher, you're the coach. And if someone's like staring off into space, or like
Yeah.
they're just not there. Like, think about how that would make you feel, and just always remembering those, and just a lot of awareness of what our face is doing and what our body is doing.
Right. No, that's great. One of the mindfulness activities that we do actually with in our program with I like to do it early on, kind of in the first week, is a hello, my name is, teach them, they have to go up to someone else, say, hello, my name is Lani, and then I would say, your eyes are brown. So the color of the other person's eyes, because we want, just like, how do we teach, it's a great activity to just teach people eye-to-eye contact when you're introducing someone. And it's like these little things that, it's called Strong Girls, and it's not just strong physical, right? Like our whole sort of mission is like, what does strong mean across the board in our life as a whole? So that, hello, my name is Lani, and your eyes are brown, and then you'd go to another person and you kind of get to know whoever is in your class or group.
I love that.
First having to do that. So that's a little activity that parents or people can do from home.
Yeah, it's like helping them focus.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So I'll just remind people I'm going to create a little sort of Chalk Talk book that can, little mini book with all these exercises that we've talked about that people will be able to download from our website shortly. Thank you so much for joining.
This is fun.
That you were like wishing we chatted. I mean, we could go on for days.
I know.
Do you feel like we covered
I think that is a really solid foundation for confidence, like the identity and knowing who you want to be, and then the actually practicing that, because all those affirmations, that self-talk work, that's going to support who you want to be, and really practice repetitions, like a drill, hitting off a tee, or shooting free throws. It's the same thing. And then the last piece is talking about our body language, how we show up, and that also supports the number one thing is who you are. It's like, you want people to see who you are, so what is your body doing? What is your face saying, right? So I think there's a really good foundation for them to work on and focus.
Awesome. I love the ending on how do you want to show up, right? Like, if we could teach girls at a young age to show up to, how do you want to show up to everything, whether it's your class or your sport or your, music lessons or whatever it is. And I think that's an equally important lesson, for you and I, and for adults, right?
Yes.
How are we showing up to everything that we're bringing to the world? So awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Strong Girls Nation, we will we'll have to do a follow-up on our next favorite topics in a few weeks, maybe.
Awesome. I love it.
Yay.